Hey guys, what's going on? This is BunnyMuffins. If you ever wanted to know what to do for all sorts of reroll comps, we're going to go over a bunch of them today. So a lot of you guys, you might know how to do like a 1-cost reroll, a 2-cost reroll, or a 3-cost reroll. We're going to be going over all of those today. I'm going to be playing one game of 1-cost reroll in the first game, 2 costs in the second game, 3 costs in the third game, and then a bonus one in the fourth game. So things to keep in mind. Anyone can play reroll comps. That's what I love about them. They might not be the best comps in the world, but they're very strong when you hit them. What do I mean by that? It's kind of hard to just force a reroll comp. A lot of times you need to get like what's called good starts for them, and I'll show you exactly what those means for every one of these compositions. And then after that, like once you do hit them, it does require like a little luck. Some games you just don't hit anything. Sometimes your D key doesn't work, but guess what? No matter what comp you are playing, if your D key doesn't work, you're not going to be doing so well in any of those games. But we're going to show you how most of these are able to play out. I started the game with a bow. Bow is my favorite starting item in this current meta right now because it works for so many different types of reroll comps. So the one we're going to go over this game is with Vayne. It works with Varus, it works with Yasuo, it works with the Hellions. Lots of different options you can do there. And let's say you don't even want to reroll at all. Let's say you get a start where like you're a flexible player, and if you get reroll, you play it. If you don't, you go for like a standard leveling pattern. Bow is great for like Aphelios, Draven, and Lucian. So you have like tons of different options. Even like the ability power comps, they use Rageblade a lot of times when you're playing like Zyra or Heimerdinger. So that's why I go with Bow right now. And so the game just started. We have a Leona 2-star, we have a Vayne. Lots of different options there. We also have a Poppy. We could go for like a Varus reroll if we get an early Varus because we already have the Leona 2-star. But I see a couple Vaynes here. I'm not going to build anything yet because my favorite item in this comp is the Runons. And the reason why I like it so much is that it just works in so many builds. Again, like Yasuo uses Runons, Vayne uses Runons, Varus uses it quite well too. And like worst case scenario, if you put it on like a Draven or a Jax, like it's gonna work out fine. You know, it's not gonna be the reason why you lose the game. So we are facing a guy going for Varus right now. Somehow we are beating him even though he's level 4. He must not have had a 2-star unit. And I guess we barely beat him. If he got his last cast off, maybe he would have won. We're not able to make interest in the last turn because we just didn't have enough money. But right now we are presented with some interesting options, belt or sword. So if you want more defensive items, belt's obviously the choice. Ironically, like sword isn't that great in a lot of these reroll comps because Vayne likes attack speed, Yasuo likes ability power, and Varus is really the only one that could use it. If you're going like a Hellion reroll build, which we are not in this game because we don't have any 2-star Hellions, like they could use a sword as well. But I think with that logic in mind, you could also go for something like a Shojin and a Rageblade here and go for a Zyra build. But since I have like the Vaynes and like I'm pretty like dead set on either Vayne or Varus just because at this point in like my life I was just wanting to reroll a bunch of stuff. Going for the belt is slightly better because you don't really need the sword for those builds. So I go ahead and slam the Rageblade there. We are facing off against some dude who's like super weak. He's got like 3 1-stars, but he's got 20 gold. So this guy's doing like kind of like an open fort build. I wonder what he's going to go for. So ideally I'd pick up this Thresh as well if I am indeed going for Vayne. But just not enough gold there. All right, in this shop, we hit the Hecarim, which is great because we do want Hecarim eventually. Let's scout around. One guy's going for Varus, so I can't go for Varus reroll. It seems like he's forcing it. He even has a Lux. Whenever someone's picking up Lux early, that's actually a common mistake in like a Varus reroll comp because you'd rather have the gold to make Econ rather than having the Lux in the game because there's Syndra and Aatrox, which are both much cheaper and arguably more effective in the early game. Like if you get a 2-star Lux, it's decent, right? But like it costs you 9 gold, which is essentially like 1 interest per turn. So if you do end up completing the Lux, like it's not going to be a very pretty story for you in terms of rerolling because all rerolls need a ton of gold to actually be effective. But that's how you know the guy's like forcing it pretty hard is if he's holding on to the Luxes because he's like, oh, I'm going for reroll redeemed. Gonna go ahead and pick up the Luxes. So we win here. We have like a weird situation going on. We are win streaking when we're trying to reroll. Normally when you reroll, you want to lose. And it might seem counterintuitive, but like the reason why is right now on this carousel, we are last pick. You want to be first pick when you are rerolling. Because if you are forcing a specific composition, you need your specific items in that build. So that is like awkward situation number 1. Awkward situation number 2 is that we want as much gold as possible. So win streaking is great, right? You get 1 gold when you win, and when you're on a win streak, and when you are on a win streak, you get a bunch of gold too. But it's a little hard to do because everyone wants a win streak. So like in a perfect world, you want everything to be working out well for you too, right? You want to be like attractive, a lot of money, and like no health problems. Well, like obviously everyone wants that, but like in TFT, it's like you can't have everything at the same time as well. You know, it's like in TFT, like everyone wants to be high health, good board, and high econ, but like that doesn't happen all the time unless you get like lucky, you know? So one thing you can control though is your econ. So if you lose streak, you will always have a good econ, and it's pretty easy to like force a lose streak because like you could always just put 0 units in and guarantee like a huge lose streak. The only problem is when you do that, you kind of like, you have no life because like you lost too much. So you want to do it very strategically. You want to lose with losing as little health as possible. So what people call like good losses are stuff like losing by 1 unit. But somehow we're winning with this board. I don't really know why. If I had to give like a real life analogy on what is going on, it'd be like if I want to go like work minimum wage and I'm like winning the lottery because like my board is like, it's decent, right? But I'm only level 4. Normally people, when they win streak, they want to level up so that they could fit more units on the board. And I'm not doing that right now. Like I'm purposely working a job that makes less money than other jobs, but somehow I'm still winning. Not the best analogy now that I said it out loud, but it's too late to backtrack on it. So we have this Kha'Zix who's about to give the Vayne the business. So yeah, chomp right there. And this is exactly what I'm talking about. When you are when you are win streaking, you want to be leveling up because like you want to guarantee the win or increase your chances of getting the win. When you're re-rolling a 1-cost Vayne build, you can't level up because, well, you want to have as much gold as possible. I make a mistake here, by the way. I should sell the Misfortune or the Ash. Either or work. So we put in the 4 Forgotten right now, and right now we're just chilling. Like, big mistake there because we lost 1 interest, and we also like lost the win streak. So we have like not as much gold as we could have had we lost like 5 games in a row instead. So when you lose 5 games in a row, you'll have like around 70, maybe like 68 life, somewhere around there. Right now, the people in last place have 72 life, but it is worth it if you have a ton of gold, because right now we'd be at like 60 gold instead of 49. So, you know, there's like pros and cons to everything. We have 5 Vanes though, that's what we got going for us, so we're going to play off of that. We also got a Negatron, which is great because we want a Runon's Hurricane. All right, so now we are facing this guy with a full 1-star team. We should be able to beat him. Again, it's really weird. Like, this lobby just happened to be super weak. I'm not going to deny that because everyone just has like full 1-star boards. I think we still lose this one, but like we should have been like hit a lot harder in my opinion. Actually, oh man, that is so close. That is not fair. She lived with 4 life and like we had an auto in the air and like, you know, it happens. I think winning this round is actually better because we are not on a lose streak. I guess we started one now, but like we get the extra gold anyways if we win, so I felt like it's better if we won that round. I'm going to put Rangers in right now. That should buff up our Vayne a tiny bit. And then we could roll down to 50 gold. So whenever you're playing a reroll build, you want to do what's called a slow roll. Slow rolling just means rolling down to 50 every single turn until you hit your desired unit. Why do we do that, you may ask? Well, in TFT, you get a bonus gold. It's called interest gold at the end of every round. And the way interest gold is calculated is if you have 10 gold, you get 1 interest. If you have 20 gold, you get 2 interests, all the way up to 50. Once you get up to 50 gold, you get 5 gold of interest every single turn. If, let's say you want to get to 60 gold, do you get 6 gold of interest? You do not, because it's capped at 50. So that's why people, when they do what's called like a slow roll, they just roll down to 50 gold every single turn. That way they get the most gold as possible while maintaining the best odds for hitting a certain unit. Because another mechanic in this game is how the leveling and odds for each of the units are. So the lower level you are, the higher chance it is to get lower cost units, such as 1-cost units. Vayne is a unit we're going for. She's a 1-cost unit. So that's why we're doing that right now. And as you level up, you get access to stronger units or more rare units, and that's how you get like the legendary units if you level up. Right now we have level 5, and we have a 45% chance to get a 1-cost unit, 33% chance to get a 2-cost unit, and 20% chance to get a 3 cost, 2% to get a 4 cost, and 0% chance to get a legendary. You guys can check that out by looking at the numbers down here. But I also have like a cheat sheet on my website at bunnymuffins.lol if you want more details on that. This round is a bit interesting. This guy got a really early Lucian, so that's actually kind of lucky for him because Lucian is a very key unit that you could build around really, really early. We're at the carousel though. We're at decent life. 80 life is way higher than I expected for this type of build, but again, we did have less gold because we weren't able to keep a lose streak. We definitely want this bow because, I mean, we're playing Vayne and we don't get the bow. Unlucky. We have a tier and a Negatron. Like, we really need the Runons for Vayne. So I'm going to go for armor just to get some sort of tank items built up because we only have a redemption. If you guys didn't notice yet, our items were really awkward this game. If you want to know like the best in slot items for this build, it'd probably be like Runons, Rageblade, and then like Hand of Justice or Jeweled Gauntlet for Vayne. I think it's like a tie between those two items. And then for your Hecarim, you want something like a Bramble Vest, Gargoyle Stoneplate, Warmogs, or like a Sunfire Cape. Even like Ionic Spark could be used a little bit, but I feel like the other ones are much better. But we had 2 tiers this game. So one tier is going to turn into a Hand of Justice. Pretty much 100% it's going to be turning into that. And then the other tier, like I just built a Redemption because we just can't use 2 tiers in this build. So a little unfortunate there. This guy's a Jax. Man, everyone's hitting their 4 costs really early. Normally people hit their 4 costs in stage 4. But we faced 2 already. Luckily, our Vayne's able to kind of target the Jax and knock him out there. So you may have noticed, even though I said Gargoyle Stoneplate's a great item, I did hold off on building Gargoyle Stoneplate because I wanted to see what items drop in this carousel. Normally, I reserve the Negatron for the Runons for Vayne, but if we get it from here, you know, like, that's why you hold off on building it, because now I can pick the Runons and build the Stoneplate now. Whereas before, if I did not get this option in this armory, I'd need 2 item components for my Vayne instead of just 1. So that's why I held off on building the Stoneplate. But now that I have the Runons, you build the Stoneplate right away. We also have a bunch of gold, so let's roll that down. We see nothing here, nothing here. Or sorry, the Thresh is there. Roll down like once more, and okay, nothing in this shop. We're facing a Nocturne. Luckily, he's only 1 star, but he also has the Frozen Heart Diana. That's a really good item combination. Like, Frozen Heart on Diana is super good because it gives her mana, which allows her to cast faster. And then she also slows the attack speed of everyone, which ensures that she gets her ultimate off, just like how you saw there. If my Vayne was not affected by the Frozen Heart debuff, like, we would have won that round because she had 1 life, because she just needed 1 more shot to kill everything. But unfortunately, we lose there. Luckily, we hit another Vayne here, so something bad happens, something good happens. I guess all is fine and balanced. Let's roll down a little more. We could use a Thresh 3. We want Hecarim 3 as well. That's another key unit in this comp. But mainly, we're just looking for Vaynes right now. We see a Thresh and an MF here, so that is pretty decent to hit. We got a Rod from this creep camp. We also got 5 gold, which pushes us up back up to 50. So let's roll down a little bit again. Nothing too much here. Really just looking for Vayne. Whenever you're playing Reroll, you kind of have to decide when to all in. And normally I all in under 2 circumstances. The first one is this situation you saw here where I was 1 off of Vayne 3. Whenever you are 1 off of a 3-star unit, you generally want to roll down until you get it. The second scenario when I'd all in is when I am super low health. So if you have 1 life left or you're like 20 life in the mid game, you might want to roll to 0 because like you're going to get knocked out of the game really quickly, so you just want any power spike that you can. All right, so looking at our items, we have a tier and a rod. Obviously, the best items that I said a second ago for Vayne were either Hand of Justice or Jeweled Gauntlet. Both of those, you want a glove to complete those items. So on this next armory, which is next round, we will want to see a glove. But if we don't get that, we'll have to turn these into something else. So unlucky, you know, you can't always get what you want. We get a belt or a chain. Which one is better? I feel like both of these are kind of all the same. Like, belt and chain, they both build great tank items, so it really just depends on what we hit in the next carousel. It's kind of like RNG based. With the belt, we want either a chain for Sunfire Cape or another belt for Warmogs. With the chain, we want a belt or a Negatron or an armor. So theoretically, maybe the chain has 1 more out than the belt, but worst case scenario, I could just build another redemption with the tier that we have on our bench right now. So that's why I opted for the belt over the chain, because we have like the tier, worst case it's a redemption. Redemption isn't my first choice of item, But, you know, it is what it is. You can only get what you want, like, so much. We do end up beating this guy. Oh, this is the guy we were checking out before. He was the open fort guy. He's actually not doing that bad. He's at 38 life now, so he gets his radiant buff. But in this next shop, what do you do after you hit Vayne 3? Well, you want to level up. So we are level 6 right now. We want to power level up to level 7. One great thing about the Vayne build, unlike other reroll builds, is that it like has like a hard spike at level 7. The reason why is because you could add in Nautilus and Rel. This gives you both the Knight buff and the Cavalier buff and the Ironclad buff. So you get like 3 buffs like for the price of 2. And it just greatly enhances your team because you're running Thresh and Hecarim. So a lot of other comps, they need to reach level 8 to reach their full potential. For example, if you play Yasuo, you want like 6 Nightbringer plus Nautilus plus Rel, which needs level 8. Luckily for this build, you just need 4 Forgotten, 1 Ranger, and then like the 2 Ironclads that we talked about. In the Varus build, you want 6 Redeemed plus the 2 Ironclads, but again, 6 plus 2 equals 8, so you need level 8 for those builds. So oftentimes it's hard to reach your late game potential in the other builds, which is why Vayne is like pretty easy to play because you only need to reach level 7. Definitely going for the glove here because that builds the 3rd Vayne item, and when Vayne is your solo carry, you best be sure you need to itemize her up as much as possible. So we're going to drop that on her. Do we want a Hand of Justice or a Jeweled Gauntlet? I opted for a Jeweled Gauntlet this game for the reason I stated before. If we built the Hand of Justice, we'd be stuck with a Morellonomicon, which isn't a horrible item on Hecarim, but it's not that great either. I'd rather have a Redemption because it's slightly more tanky, and his job is to tank. If I was running like the Cavalier build, where I'm having like Hecarim be my solo carry, probably the Morello would be slightly better, but like I wouldn't build the Morello at all. I'd have 3 items for him beforehand, like a Radiant item, for example. But in this game, his job for me is just a tank. So Redemption is just more tanky than Morello, so I'm going to go for the Jeweled Gauntlet on the Vayne. I think there's also only 1 Assassin player. Well, holy cow, this guy's got a team of 2 at level 7. That is nuts. But if there aren't too many like backline access type of opponents, like you don't need the healing on Vayne. Oftentimes you get Hand of Justice on Vayne because you need the healing because she's getting hit by Assassin, she's getting hit by Karma, she's getting hit by Vel'Koz, but there weren't too many of those opponents in this game, which again is why it is important to scout. So in those cases, like more damage would obviously be better than the healing that you get from Hand of Justice. But looking at like data on Hand of Justice versus Jeweled Gauntlet as a 3rd item for Vayne, and by asking like pro players, like there's not really a clear consensus on which is like strictly better. But let me know down in the comments what your thoughts are. And while you guys are down there, go ahead and like and subscribe if you guys are enjoying what you're seeing already. I do come out with a tier list every single Friday. I have been for the past like 2 years now. So if that is of interest of you, like again, buttons down below. Let's roll down a little bit because again, we are at level 7. I kind of want Hecarim 3-star or Thresh 3-star because I'm really close to Thresh. And we also get the Ironclad combo that I talked about before. So I'm just gonna do a couple more rolls and all right, we're just chilling there. We almost have the Thresh. We are getting into the late game. Stage 5 is typically when people like turbo spike because they're gonna go level 8 and roll down like 40 gold at that time. But unfortunately, we do not hit. We do not get the Thresh 3, but we are pretty close. Hecarim's probably more important. I do make a mistake here. I put the 2nd Redemption on my Hecarim. I probably should have put it on my Rel or my Thresh, just to spread the love of the Redemption around a little bit, because it is a AoE buff. It reduces area of effect damage by like a certain percent. I forget what it is. So it is nice to have on different units so that they they affect different parts of your team. But that's like a slight mistake on my part. Also, if I do get Hecarim 3-star, I could put like an extra tank item on him over the Redemption, which might be better after going on the carousel. So we get a Nautilus there. Like how far do you want to roll? I think I got tilted here and I rolled too much because I was really, really desperate for this Thresh 3. Thresh 3 is really good because he does like a very long CC, and sometimes he even just kills the unit he hooks, which obviously is really useful, right? Like getting a free kill on a unit. This Nocturne 3, a little scary. His Runons is just hitting my Vayne. I need to scout and position around this guy because that's the 2nd time he's destroyed me by just being on the same side as me. So I do have to watch out for him. He's like the only guy that can beat me, so I have to be very, very careful. So I get hit up there. We are at 46 life now. Unlucky. we want to be down below 40 health. So hopefully we take like a small loss next turn so that we get our stimulus package, also known as the Radiant buff, or the Radiant Blessing. So let's roll down a little more. Don't really hit too much. We are 2 off Hecarim and 1 off Thresh, so this is when I just press the D button repeatedly, but it like half worked, you know, we got Rel out of it. So you guys might be wondering, like, when do you want to roll? When do you want to like save up gold? If you have a lot of pairs, that's generally when you want to roll. So I had like 3 things to hit there, and that's normally the borderline. Whenever you have like 4 or more things to hit, you generally want to be rolling. If you have like 2 or less, you generally want to save unless you are on your last leg. But we were at 3, which is like the borderline type of situation, but like getting Thresh 3 or Hecarim 3 or Rel 2 are all big power spikes, so it really depends on what you're looking for. Again, Vayne is all our damage, so we just need tanks, and those 3 units are going to be my tanks. So if that's the case, if you need that stat type or like that archetype, you probably should be rolling if all 3 of them match that description. So on this carousel, what do we want? Probably the Shroud, but we don't get that. Is it Hat for Thresh? I don't really know. I feel like all of these are kind of mediocre. I don't know why I went for the Titans. I don't have a single Titans user because my Hecarim is 2-star, but I think my plan was to hit a Hecarim 3 on this roll down and then put the Titan's Resolve on him, because you can pop items off of certain units if you upgrade them. Because you may notice the Hecarim on my board, he has full items. So how do you remove an item from him? You put another item on your other unit and then you like pop it off later. But I don't end up getting the Hecarim, so if I do get too low, I might need to put this Titan's Resolve on someone else, which obviously is not what I wanted. You may notice my positioning is cornering the Vayne. The reason why I do that is because there is an assassin player, and you often don't want to corner your carry, because if other people are playing Thresh, Thresh hooks the furthest unit away from him, and oftentimes that's going to be your corner unit. But luckily, in this game, no one's playing Thresh. That's why my Vayne is in the corner. So you got to scout to figure out when you want to corner your carry and when you want to put him on like 1 square away. So if there are other Threshes in the game, I normally put my Vayne where my Thresh is. So we are down to the last 3. For some reason, this guy's got a Frozen Heart on his Vel'Koz. Oh, this was a guy with like a random tier on his Vel'Koz. He put the tier on early because he just wanted the power spike of having the extra mana on him, but unfortunately for him, or unlucky for him, like he couldn't build any other item other than Frozen Heart, so we're able to take him out pretty handedly. I'm surprised he made it this far, because normally Vel'Koz really needs like 3 good items. But we're down, actually we're down to the final 4. Luckily we have a lot of health, and health is the key to the game, because if you have a lot of health, even if the other person's team is better than yours, you just need to beat them once, whereas they need to beat me like 3 times in order to knock me out. So even if someone's team is better than mine, I can always luck out a win by out-positioning them. So we're rolling down. We really need this Hecarim 3 because we have 2 Titan's Resolves on our bench. And until we get that, they are pretty much dead items. Like, I guess I could put them on Rel just for the tank stats, but this item's really good on Hecarim because it gives him tankiness and damage, but like, sometimes your reroll button just doesn't work, so I just put double Titans on the Rel just to make her more tanky, you know. It sucks, but like, what can you do? This guy's got triple Warmonks on his Galio. Luckily, Vayne does % health true damage, so that is unlucky for him because we are hitting him for 337 on Vayne passive auto attacks, so that is really nice for us. Is Akshan's doing a lot of work on my Vayne. Our Rel has like decent tank stats, even though it got reduced by his Akshan, but we're able to take him out, which is lucky for us because his build is kind of scary. So we're facing the last guy, unlucky. We're facing off against a assassin player, which is like the only guy who's beaten us all game. Like, we've only lost like what, like 2 times since we've been like having our finished team, and I think they were both to the assassin player. So what item do we want here? It's definitely not Sunfire Cape because late game it sucks. It's either the Spear of Shojin on the Thresh or the Zeke's Herald. I went ahead and went for the Zeke's Herald. I'm not really too sure which one's better. Obviously, in a vacuum, Zeke's is going to be better because it buffs up our Vayne. However, with the Thresh, like at 3-star, Spear of Shojin's really good because he gets multiple casts off really easily. And one thing to note, I do get to do something a little goofier because I know I'm facing an assassin player. I can backline my entire team, and hopefully like the assassins get caught on one of my tank units instead of like everyone in my backline. But like Nautilus isn't enough, and like Cavaliers, they run at the start, so they can't catch the assassins. So I have to do something a little goofy in order to win this game, which you guys will see in just a second. So as much as Hecarim wants to like do some big plays, he just can't at this point because he's just like not 3-star and doesn't have the right items. So I do get the stimulus package, which is a force of nature. So I end up adding in another Ironclad, so I have 3 Ironclad, and then I finally finish my Hecarim 3-star by rolling down. So the game has a chance still, but it was looking bleak before. I'm gonna do something a little sneaky. I moved my Vayne away from the Zeke's Herald buff. Like, no one expects that, but I dodge his Frozen Heart by doing that, and that just means my Vayne can do, like, hopefully a little bit of damage, but unlucky, she got Pike Stun, so maybe I should have put someone next to her. But she ends up getting, like, a ton of hits here, which is super, super good. We also don't have the Hand of Justice, which, again, like, remember how I said before, Hand of Justice is really good if you are facing off against assassins. But lucky for me, I was able to kill his Nocturne with the Vayne swapped to the other side as, like, a neat little, like, gimmick, if you want to call it that. And then we're able to just beat him here because no one can kill this Hecarim. He's got too much healing, and even the Rel is super tanky because she's getting healed by the, what's it called, the Redemption as well. It's like an AoE heal every 5 seconds. But yeah, you can't kill the Hecarim, and we would have beat him if overtime went longer, but we also just beat him with a tie. So keep in mind, like, whenever you're in a super dire situation where it seems unwinnable, like, you could always do weird things like putting your Vayne in a position he wouldn't expect and just get a free win out of that. Hope you guys enjoyed the first game of Vayne Reroll. Next game, we're going to do a 2-cost reroll comp, and then after that, a 3-cost, and then a bonus game at the very end. So hopefully you guys stick around for that. All right, now let's go into game number 2. We're going to be doing a 2-cost reroll now. So we started off with a bow, we got a Negatron, and then we got a belt as well. We have the Vayne to start us off, so we're probably just going to slam the Runons right away, and nothing else really much to buy here though. I don't want to level up because I could potentially go for a Vayne reroll, but I probably do want to make eco somehow. I face a guy who leveled up, so I'm probably going to lose this one. He also built a Hand of Justice. Can't really make eco though. I have 3 gold right now, 5 if I sell the brand, 6 with the Gragas, 7 with the Vayne. If I sold the Soraka and something else, maybe I could have done that though. So new shop, we have either a chain or a sword. I think chain might be better. I could build Sunfire Cape in that case. Sword isn't bad, like I wouldn't be mad about it because I could probably build some sort of offensive item, but I feel like getting the defensive and having more items is better. So I get an early Varus, so that makes me want to go for a Varus 3 game. Some people call this reroll redeem, some people call it something else that's inappropriate for YouTube. So I'm going to go ahead and sell some of my guys here and try to play this Varus. And we don't have any Leonas yet, which is a little unfortunate, but you know, you can't always get what you want. I have to go for adding in Gragas and Soraka to support. I feel like this is better than the Vayne. I don't really have any items yet. I think it's at this point I wasn't really too sure what I was going, and this guy's going 2-star Soraka already, so I definitely can't go for Dawnbringers. That's for sure. And we take a huge loss here, so we're going to be lose streaking, obviously, this game, which kind of hurts a bit because we're at 86 life already. We've taken max damage, I think. 4 from the first guy, 8 from the first guy. No, 6 from the first guy, 8 from this guy, so almost max damage. Nothing good in this shop here, so we're just going to sell to 20. We're going to do like kind of like an open fort, but not really. I honestly don't even know why I have this Gragas on my bench. I should just know I'm going to lose this next round and sell it. But the order of that obviously doesn't really matter because you could just sell it afterwards. But it's like my board is so weak, there's just no way on earth that I actually beat anyone. So we take more damage there. So we're at 80. I guess the other guy's doing worse than us. He's at 76. On this carousel, what do we want? That Yasuo item is decent. So if we do get that, we could go for a reroll Yasuo instead. However, he takes it, so maybe the bow on Varus isn't so bad because that gives us a Varus and a bow. But I'm kind of indecisive right now, but I feel like that one might be the best because I could build something like a Rage Blade with that, with the Runons, and you're pretty much set on Varus items after that. The alternative you could have done is maybe go for a tank item. That way you can just go ahead and slam stuff while staying flexible for the rest of your comp, and maybe you get like a Radiant item as a damage item instead. So Sunfire on the Gragas is kind of a no-brainer, and we'll just go from there. Actually, it's not a no-brainer. Maybe I shouldn't have built the Sunfire because it might win a round, even though I'm full 1-star, but you never know sometimes. So maybe I shouldn't have built it. I built it because I had the logic of like maybe it helps me kill 1 extra unit to save me 2 life. And in this game, it didn't do anything, so a little unfortunate there. All right, we're in the new shop. No Leona. Oh, wait, first Leona there. So we'll sell this Gragas, and we'll just kind of chill from here. I probably should have held on to the Poppy because we're playing Knights next, but I accidentally sold her. So you could put a bow on your Varus, not really that necessary. In case you get a Radiant item, instead, you might not want that bow on him, but you could put it on, you could not, because there are a lot of options to go for there. But generally, like, whenever I have, like, a primary carry, I tend not to put spare items on them unless I know for 100% that that's going to go on them. And typically, with Radiant items and the way they work in the armories, like, I don't just slam items on random units anymore unless I know for sure I'm selling them. But since Varus is going to be kept throughout the entire game, I want to not do that. So from these golems, we get a blue and a gold orb. We get a Tome of Traits and a armor. So not bad. Armor could be good for a tank item, either a, what's it called? We already have a Sunfire Cape, so we could go for Bramble Vest, or we can go for the Gargoyle Stoneplate. Both are very good options. Again, not really too sure which item is technically better. That guy lost to Krugs, that's kind of funny. So let's use this tome, let's see what we get. No redeemed, no ranger. What the hell? We get everything else that we don't care about. So I guess it's Ironclad emblem because what else can you do? Maybe Legionnaire Varus works. I'm not too sure. I don't think it's like that crazy. I'd rather have like a real item on him, but I go for the Ironclad because I will be playing them later on in the game. So we get a Leona there. I'm just going to roll down to 50 real quick. And we do get the Nautilus, and we could put the Ironclad Spatula. I'm going to drop it on Vayne for now because I know for sure that I'm going to be selling her. So this guy, he has a 2-star Lee Sin already. Dude, that is absolutely nuts. I wish I had a 2-star Lee Sin at this stage in the game without rolling. But he's able to get that, so I get smashed here, obviously. Kill no units. We are at 50 life now. Holy cow, this is going to be a fast track for bad things. I don't know if you guys have been in this situation before, but it just doesn't feel very nice. So new shop, we're going to be rolling down. We get a Leona 2. That is going to be huge. That's going to infinitely make us more tanky. We get a Nautilus as well. Roll down some more. And, ooh, there we go. Varus 2. Just like that, we are kind of back in the game. Not really, because we're still 50 life and we're not level 6 yet, so we might still lose some more rounds. Whenever you are low health during the early game, you really want to have a situation where you can build all the items you can after Krugs. In this case, I'm not going to build a Titan's Resolve, but it really hurts you if you don't do it sometimes because you don't get an item till Carousel, which is 3 rounds later. And then after that, the armory for the Radiant items is after that, in the 5th round, I believe. So there's a lot of downtime between your items. So if you don't get like that extra item for a small power spike, some games you get like super punish and you get 8th in those cases. Luckily here we have like decent items apart from the Titan's Resolve on our bench, so we're able to survive for just a bit longer. We get an Aatrox there. We also end our lose streak, which is kind of nice. So we're chilling from here. I would prefer to lose a little more until we get our stimulus package, but we're not able to do that this game. It's really dangerous because you don't want your team to be too weak and get completely smashed and go too far below 40 health. In case you guys didn't know, you get your, like that Radiant Blessing or whatever it is, or Blessing of whatever, after you go below 40 health. I know some players in like Masters who didn't know that. They just thought it just came after a certain point in the game, which is kind of funny because it's like a pretty important mechanic in the game that you could play around if you so choose to. But we're able to keep winning, I guess. And let's see what items we get. I'd probably want a Rage Blade here. So I do want the Rod. Spatula is also nice, but this guy takes a Spatula. Dude, everyone always gets Spatula. I should take the Rod, right? I could also go for second Runons or a tank item. Not really sure why I went for the Negatron in that game. Looking back at it, Rod does seem more straightforward. Stoneplate is the best tank item in this comp though, because you're running a solo tank in Leona. So maybe that's why I went for it, but if I had to redo it, I feel like Rage Blade's pretty important on Varus. So we get a lot of Varuses, so that's our one like saving grace, but It doesn't count unless you actually complete the 3-star, so we still have to wait for that. Of course, I built the stone plate, and then I face an assassin player, making my stone plate kind of useless. But let's see what we can do here. We are able to get a couple kills. Actually, no, he's got 1-star Nocturne. Wait, his whole team is 1-star. How is this guy still in? Oh, he's at 36 health. Now he's at 26. Okay, this guy's team is just like way too weak, right? So we're able to luck out there for a win. Dare I say we even get a win streak into the wolf camp. All right, so very interesting choices of items here. I feel like 4 of these are really good. Quicksilver, great on your backline carry because it gives attack speed. Stoneplate, we already said before, the best tank item for this comp. Deathblade, super good with Runons, and the improved, like the Radiant Runons, also a completely sick item. Since we have the bow on my bench, I feel like Deathblade is better, but double Runons also works really well on Varus if you have not tried that yet. But Deathblade Runons combo is so good, right? I can't pass up on that, and I already have 2 tank items where I only have 1 damage item, so I shouldn't go for the Stoneplate. I feel like that's why I went for the Deathblade, but Quicksilver also pretty good in this comp too, because Varus going off uninterrupted with the Ranger buff is a huge damage spike. So if you went for the Quicksilver, I wouldn't even be mad either. It's one of the least picked items, I think, but I feel like it is a bit underrated because there are a lot of times where it just pulls off some miracles. Are we able to pull this off? No, we are not. If I put the bow on Vayne, maybe I could have won and kept my win streak into the wolf camp. So again, that's what I talked about before. If you know you're going to sell the item, it's okay to put the item on them. So after the Deathblade, I probably could have put it on Vayne because I'm probably going to get an Ashe really soon. So maybe that's a small mistake on my part again. So we see some Syndras there, which is nice. I'm going to buy this Aatrox if I can as well. Oh my god. I'm too good at the game. Okay, so we see too many Varuses there. And we just need one more. We get a sword. Giant Slayer. Can't complain about that if that is our final item. I think I could wait till the armory the round after, but let's roll down here. This is probably where you want to all in because we're really close. Unfortunately, we don't have many Leona, so we gotta decide now, like, are we chilling with Leona 1 or do we really want Leona 2? I think in this game, I decide to just go for the Leona 2-star, and yeah, because I'm 46 health, I can't afford to lose that many more rounds. I want to just power level to rush to 6 redeemed. All right, we're into the next round. This guy is going for some sort of Draconic build, but he's got a random Garen. What is this guy's team? This is way too funny. Like, his items don't synergize at all. Did he use a Reforger and it just, like, didn't work out or something like that? That's all I can really think of. But yeah, I sell the majority of my bench to get up to 50 gold because right now, like, again, Leona 3 would be great, but we're just not in a position to go for it, you know? So here we get I'm gonna go for the rod. We got 2 offensive items there, so there's not really much point to not complete the bow item. Unfortunately, the sword is probably going to be a little dead because we don't really have anyone to use it. Maybe we could build a Spear of Shojin on the Syndra or like a Zeke's Herald. Nothing in this shop here, so we're going to skip that. We do want to plan to go to level 7 soon, but I don't like leveling up unless I have something to put in, so we're not just going to like level up immediately. I think it costs 24 gold here, so we'd be down to 30. Being at 30 gold isn't the end of the world, but again, if you have nothing to put in, don't level up. So we are able to push his Nautilus back with the Syndra. Always put your Varus in the, not all the way in the corner, but the one square next to it, because again, people play Thresh, so you don't want to get like caught off guard by that, unless you have a Trap Claw or the Quicksilver that we talked about before. So we get a Stimulus package now, which is great, because we had a pretty good loss for that. And we use it, and we get either a Redeemed or an Ironclad. So I'm going to scout around here. I'm going to see what people have. There's a couple magic damage dealers, 3 magic damage dealers, 4, or 1 half one. But there's a couple physical as well. So I feel like you could go either or for the Redeemed or Ironclad, but I ended up picking the Ironclad. But looking back, I think Redeemed is slightly better, and here's why. If we level up next turn, we'll be able to fit in 6 Redeemed, which is a huge power spike, right? So that's why I think Redeemed Spat is better. Also, like, there were 3 ability power players, so maybe the Ironclad isn't going to be that much more helpful than like the 2 Ironclad that we had. So Looking back, probably it was worth going for the redeemed spatula instead. Mistake on my part, it happens in the game. You only have a certain amount of time to think about your moves, and you really need to think quickly and accurately. I didn't do that in this case here, but hopefully you guys avoid that in yours. You have to think like how many people that spatula is going to be worth against and what you're going to do in the next level. And in this game, I didn't realize that my next level I could have fit in 6 redeemed, which saves me a lot of gold because then now I have to go to level 8. I get a belt there for a Zeke's. Probably should have gotten Tyr, but I think someone else took it because Tyr builds Spirit Shoujin. But you know what? Like, Zeke's Herald, you can't really complain about this item. I also get to replace my Vayne because Akshan is a ranger. So I could just put the Zeke's on him. Let's see what I could put in. I guess Invoker with Ivern is about it. I did level up here because I still stay above 50 gold. Maybe I could do something like 4 knights as well if I bought the Poppy. Sometimes with this build, obviously you want to go for 6 redeemed, but you can't always get that really quickly until like level 7 or level 8. So a lot of times at level 7, you want to go for 4 knights and 3 redeemed instead, because that gives you like a pretty big power spike, especially knights in the mid game are really, really powerful still because people have stuff like Lucian 1 where he does like 0 damage to knight players. All right, we get a Rel here. That's going to be great for us because that gives us the last Ironclad. So we now have, what is it, like 4 Ironclad, which gives a ton of armor to our whole team. I really went for this to counter the Assassin player because his Kha'Zix does a lot less damage. Kha'Zix does a mix of both magic and physical damage, but his magic damage is always going to kill people. So you want to play around his physical damage because if he picks up a lot of physical damage kills, it could be very like costly for you. Let's see. So we're facing him now, Speak of the Devil. He's got the Ionic Spark with the Gragas. That's actually like a very interesting item because it has insane range. Look, 4 hexes for the Ionic Spark. Maybe I should be buying that more often. But we're able to kill him here, and this guy's at 23 health. So everyone's struggling this game. There's a lot of people who are just like taking it hard, and then there's the 2 people chilling at the top with 60 plus health. All right, so we finally made it to Wraith Camp. Our team is decent. Like, it's a little sketchy because we only have a Leona 1-star. So because we only have a Leona 2-star, but if we are able to get a new Leona 2 and a Rel 2, we could swap the items over onto Rel. So we just get 3 gold from this Wraith Camp, so that means we're going to be building the Zeke's Herald. And let's see, do we level up now? Yes, we do. We get a Lux, we get 6 redeemed. Perfect, that is a good power spike. And I guess just chill. I do want an Ashe over the, what's it called? The Akshan. Ashe is just, oh, I skipped her. Ashe is just a better unit. But let's see if we could get Rel 2 as well. Don't really think we do hit it at this point. Oh my god, I keep skipping Ashe. Why do I do that? Alright, there's the pair of Luxes. I think I saw the Syndra's, didn't really hit her. Let's build the Zeke's and kind of chill. You could reforge, but I feel like Zeke's is good enough. I never really like reforging unless there's like a completely useless item on in my game, because technically like a third or like 40% of items are like probably worse than what I have right there. So I don't really want to go for that because it's just not a good chance. Or sorry, 40% of items are better than Zeke's Herald in this case. I'm just approximating, but there really isn't too much to go for. So I could choose either Mystic, Ironclad, or Redemption. It's either Redemption or Mystic. Both of them are probably fine. If I did go for the Redemption, I'd probably put it on my Rel, but Mystic is also good too, just because like a lot of people have magic damage, so it's good to mix and match both of the resistance types. If I roll down a little bit, let's see what we hit. Nothing too much. Not getting the Leonas, not getting the Rel. Oh, no, we do get a Rel there. Gonna buy her, gonna keep rolling even more. Or, I guess chill at 10. A lot of times when I watch a lot of other people play, they never roll below 10 gold unless they are on their very last life. And the reason why they do that is because it is very hard to go from 0 to 10 gold, but it's pretty easy to go from 10 to 20 gold. So unless you really, really, really need that power spike, it's best to stay above 10 gold. Sometimes I follow that rule, sometimes I break it. Sometimes I break it because I'm tilted, sometimes I break it because like I think I need to all in there, but it all depends on the situation. Hopefully you guys keep that in mind in your games too. But if you're like one off, like a Varus 3-star, like roll to 0, you know? But like I was only missing a Rel here, And hitting Rel isn't that like frequent at this point in the game, so that's probably why it happened that way. So let's replace the Leona. I'm gonna sell her. Sunfire and yeah, the Gargoyle on her. Put her up front so that she tanks everything with the Gargoyle Stoneplate in the beginning, and swap around my team a tiny bit. Also, if you have like a lot of pairs, it's worth rolling to 0. Like if you're only looking for 1 or 2 things, then it's not really worth it. So Lee Sin gets a great Zephyr on my solo tank, which is a mistake on my part. I should have been scouting for that. But Varus should be able to clean things up here, because he's only got a Jax 1 as his carry, which isn't enough damage in my opinion. And yeah, we're able to take him out here, put him to 5 health, which means he has 1 life left. And yeah, we just chill, hope for a Lux 2, hope for a Leona 2. So on this carousel, it's utility or tank item. So we definitely want that Trap Claw. Trap Claw is like the most broken item in the late game, but someone's definitely going to take that. Never mind, they took the Zeeks instead. So we're able to get that, which is huge, because now we could corner our Varus. We could also just have like keep him in the same spot, but just have the Trap Claw on him. And it just makes him so much more resilient, because we always get hit by that 1 CC spell, and if it happens during our Ranger buff, we're going to be struggling for a while. So we're going to be rolling down a bit more. We hit so many Vel'Kozes, but we don't really need him. We hit a Lux. Maybe Vel'Koz is better than the Leona, because Knights don't really do anything in the late game, and maybe the damage from the Redeem buff is enough for the Vel'Koz, but I opt not to go for that. But looking back, like I'd much rather have a 2-star Vel'Koz than a 1-star Leona. Whether I'd rather have it over a 2-star Leona is a separate question, but maybe I do, because again, like the damage that she does, or Vel'Koz does, is pretty big. We're able to throw the Kha'Zix back with the Syndra, and that should give us enough time to finish him off. I think the Trap Claw may have stopped a Kha'Zix ult. So we look here, yeah, he stopped, like the Trap Claw stopped a Kha'Zix ult. That's how useful the item is, and it just allowed me to win this game like so easily, you know, because like you block 3,000 damage essentially. All right, so new shop. What do we want here? Ashe 2, Leona 2, but apart from that, not too much. I think this is just our team. So always scout around, because there was the Zephyr from the other guy, so I'm just gonna put a like bait unit to hit the Zephyr instead of the Rel, in case I face that guy. I didn't end up facing him, but you always want to be careful of this stuff, especially in the late game. The matchups are kind of random. You just don't face the last guy you face when there are 5 players left. So you always want to be scouting to make sure that you don't get randomly Zephyred. So this guy's playing Aphelios, but he's got a bunch of weird items. No, sorry, actually he's playing Yasuo, but he just couldn't hit. So we should be able to take him out really easily. But be careful about this build. The 6 Nightbringer build with the Yasuo, Aphelios actually does a ton of work, even without good items. All right, so what do we have here? We have a Gunblade, Morello, and a Hand of Justice. All pretty useless, in my opinion. I'm going to drop these on my Syndra. I don't think any of these are worth reforging, because they're like okay on her. Would I prefer a tank item or a utility item? Utility is probably the best in this situation. I would prefer them, but you know, you can't always get what you want. There's like a 1% chance we could reach level 9 if we just stay put here, so I'm just going to chill for now. So again, I dropped my Leona up front to eat the Zephyr, potentially, if that guy's still in the game. But we're facing a Karma now. He's got a Garen in the front line with IE for some reason. And there's a lot of like spatula items in this game. I think I have 2 and he has 2 as well. Unfortunately, Ironclad doesn't really do anything against this guy, but we're able to dodge a Karma shot with the Varus. Oh no, he just barely beat us there. Karma's kind of like a hard guy to beat, because her targeting is random, so if she gets really good targeting, like there's some games where you just can't win. Finally get the Ashe, so I'm gonna probably sell the Akshan. The stun's just better from Ashe. Akshan, if we look at his damage, he's doing 492, so not really worth it there. Which is kind of sad, because he also does have the Trap Claw, so it's not like he's getting blown up by something random. Alright, so I noticed that the Zephyr guy isn't in the game anymore, so I don't have to put my Leona up front, so I'd rather get more value from the Gargoyle Stoneplate by solo lining my Rel. And look at that, they surround my Rel, so she's getting a ton of resistances there. And this guy should be easy to finish off, because he wants to go for the Misfortune 3 build, but I mean, the guy only has Misfortune 2, so this should be an easy win there. That's the risk about going for 3-cost carries. It's more difficult to hit, so you don't always get them. This guy did almost beat us, but not close enough. We finish him off at 0 life exactly, so lucky for us there. Right, now we could go for level 9, I feel like, right? Because we are, how much is it? Like 62 gold off, so we could just level up, put in the Ivern, get Invoker buff, and kind of just chill from there. So we're facing either the Yasuo guy or the Karma guy. We lost to the Karma guy before. We're facing him again. He only has Garen 1-star. He does have the Volibear 2 with like insane items. Jesus, he has 2 Dawnbringer spats and an Invoker spat. That is crazy. I mean, we have the same thing. We also have 3. But Giant Slayer on the Karma definitely doing a lot of work because we have a lot of health on our team, but we're able to finish him off, and we're also able to face the other guy with our Ghost, so that should just be a victory from us. There. Okay, that Sejuani took a little long to kill, but yeah, that is Varus reroll in a nutshell. This was like a dangerous game. We had like such a bad start, but luckily we were able to get a big econ from the lose streak, and then we kind of just hit the Varus. Sometimes you hit, sometimes you don't. Depends on the game. So like high risk, high reward whenever you play reroll, but we were able to get kind of lucky this game. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this. Let's head on to game number 3. All right, let's get into game number 3 now. We started off with a belt from the carousel, but luckily we got a bow from the drops. I'm just gonna pick up the Vayne here and just kind of chill for a bit because there's not really too much in my shop right now. We go ahead and get another belt. I'm gonna buy the Hecarim. Potentially we could go for some sort of Vayne build here. But I'm probably going to build Warmogs and just drop it on the Hecarim for now. Then from an orb, we are going to get 2 Varuses, so obviously like Varus seems attractive after that, so it's at this point where I am leaning towards going for that. I probably should have locked my shop here and picked up the set pair, but we actually get a Varus 2 right away, which is absolutely insane to me. But remember guys, this is a 3 cost build because this is a 3rd game, so obviously we're not going to be going Varus this game, but in this game, obviously, I was trying to also go for this because, wow, what an incredible start. You really can't ask for much better except for having like a Leona 2-star as well. So I'm actually going to level up and not do some sort of open forwarding because I do believe I can win streak with this board. We win the first round pretty handedly. I get the exact item I wanted, which is a Runons, because Runons fits in every single one of these builds, and kind of just chill from there. I do want to make interest eventually, but right now we are facing a weak guy, and we also have low gold just because we were able to buy all our units. So we're kind of just waiting right now, and just hopefully try to generate a win streak instead to get our gold. You do get 1 gold every time you win, and if you get on a win streak, it's the same amount of gold as on a lose streak, except you don't have to lose any health for it. So theoretically, win streaks are better than lose streaks. They're just harder to maintain. This next shop, we see a bunch of good guys. Definitely want to grab the Sejuani over the Kled because she's just a better unit, and potentially we could add in a Brawler or another Cavalier in the next round. Probably Cavalier is better because the Cavalier buff affects 3 units, whereas a Brawler buff only affects the Brawler plus Sejuani. We're on to the carousel now. We have all our items completed, so we're really just looking to build something new. We're left with either a chain or a Negatron. Obviously, I'm going to go for the chain because I could go for Bramble Vest or the Sunfire Cape or the Stone Plate, whereas Negatron really only goes for Stone Plate because Dragon Claw isn't quite as good as everything else. We already have 1 Negatron to build the rune on, so we're pretty much set on that item. Here, we're going to level up, put in an extra Brawler. I'd prefer Kled here, but I sold him in the last round. And yeah, we'll just kind of go with this. I'll drop the armor on Hecarim because I know I'm not going Hecarim because we're not going Vayne reroll at this point in the game. This guy's going for some sort of IE build. I'm not really too sure how I feel about IE in the current meta. It's always like one of those items where it's either the best offensive item or it's like kind of mediocre, because oftentimes either like Deathblade and a raw stats is better than the actual Infinity Edge, and it also depends if you want to build Last Whisper or not. But a lot of people, such as like Draven and Akshan, have Last Whisper built into their kit, so you're really only needing it on Aphelios, who would rather have attack speed and raw damage, or something like Jax, but no one really plays Jax right now. We're going into the last round against a blue buff Ziggs. Blue buff Ziggs is great for win streaking. If you guys ever start with a tier and you're like kind of lost for what to do, try to get a second tier on the first armory on stage 2 too, because Ziggs with blue buff normally beats everything. It's only because we have a ridiculously strong team right now, because we started the game with a Varus 2, that we're able to beat him. So we see a Set and a Gragas here, so I'm going to go ahead and sell some guys to get to 4 Brawler, because 4 Brawler is incredibly strong. We get to Belt and a Spatula on this, which is perfect, because with this Spatula, we could potentially go for a Redeem Spatula, because right now we are planning to go Varus with this build. We see an Aatrox there, which is nice, but you might notice one thing. Normally when you play Varus, you want a 3-star Leona. You can get away with 2-star Leona too, but you do prefer the 3-star. but we don't even have a single copy of her, so we might need to think of something else to do. And you guys may have noticed, like, again, this is the 3-cost video, and this is one of the reasons why I opted to go for a 3-cost this game, because I'm not getting the units required for the Varus reroll build, and I'm also not getting additional Varuses either. But we're still pretty strong here. We're just using this a win streak. You could honestly go into any comp from here. Like, a lot of comps use the Runons. Like, you could go Jax, for example, like we talked about before, and you're not forced to go reroll ever. So just keep that in mind. If you're ever in like stage 3, you don't get too many copies of a certain unit, you don't have to do anything. Like, no one's forcing you, just like a lot of other things in life. But right now we're still maintaining the win streak because 4 Brawler, completely ridiculously strong frontline, Varus 2-star for our damage. We're gonna level up, add in this Vayne right here. So it's perfect that we get our start up. So yeah, this is like, you can't ask for much better of a start than this. One thing to note, I did put my Nunu in between Sejuani and Gragas. The reason why I do this is because I protect the Sunfire Cape that way to make sure that he stays alive the longest so that he could apply his debuff for a longer time. And also, Nunu likes having high health. The higher health the Nunu is, the more chance he is going to have to do true damage on his ability, because normally he just does like a bite, but if you have more health than your opponent, Nunu does like a true damage bite with bonus damage. So that's just one thing to keep in mind and why I keep him in the middle. So right now we see a Yasuo. I'm like thinking, oh, maybe I could go for Yasuo reroll because I'm not finding any of the Leonas and I already have a Sejuani, so it's worth exploring. I also have a spatula here, which I could make either a Legionnaire spatula or even a Cavalier spatula. I've been hearing a lot of things about Cavalier Yasuo, and I don't think it's like that good after playing this game. It's decent, but people were telling me to try it out, so I was thinking maybe it's something to be worth exploring. I was also on a call with my friend during this game, and he was just watching, and I wanted to show him a build on Yasuo which involved blue buff, or radiant blue buff, and I told him it was like the most broken thing ever. He didn't believe me, so I said if I see a radiant blue buff on this radiant carousel that I would go for it. And I only did that because I don't have any Leonas to go for the Varus comp. In like most other situations, if you even had like 2 Leonas here, I'd probably do like a slow roll for the Leona instead of leveling up, just because I like doing reroll comps. So onto the carousel. Obviously you want the spatula, but that's going to be taken up right away. So I could go for some sort of damage item for my Yasuo, so bow would be the next option, but unfortunately, I'm left with all defensive items. I could grab the Tear to go for a Hand of Justice, or the Negatron to go for more tank items. I don't really think the option matters that much. We end up not picking anything, but then we get the Tear randomly, but I didn't really have a preference on either item, to be honest with you guys. So now we are level 6. We want to try to level up to level 7 and just kind of wait to see what happens for now. This guy's going Assassin. For positioning, you always want to surround your units that are vulnerable. So for example, we have Varus in the corner right now, and you notice like I put Vayne next to him, I also put Set next to him. That's just kind of as like a mini protection against assassins. If you are leveled up and you have more units in play, you could also put someone in front of him as well as to the side of him. All right, now we're on the Radiant carousel. I see the Radiant blue buff. So that's the point where I'm like, all right, let me just take it. So I was kind of like semi-trolling this game just because my friend really wanted to see the build. Well, he didn't really want to see it. He just didn't believe me that it worked. The reason why Radiant blue buff works so well on Yasuo is because he gets consistently his ultimate off like very quickly. So we'll see in a bit once I actually play Yasuo that he just ults, autos, and then ults and autos and does it repeatedly until the end of time pretty much. So if you pair that with like an Archangel stab, it is like devastating results. But one thing to note, don't build regular blue buff on Yasuo. That does not work quite as well because he has to auto attack twice, and it's just like a lot less damage than the Radiant blue. You'd rather have like a Hand of Justice or a Runons or like a Jeweled Gauntlet instead, for example. All right, so now we are onto the Raptor camp. We get the Gragas, which is a nice 2-star to get. We also see another set here. So we get a Chain Vest, which is fine because we could build the Cavalier spat that we were talking about. It just gives like Yasuo a little bit of tankiness, and it also allows him to have less downtime. A lot of people like building RFC on Yasuo. I'm a fan of it as well, but the reason why you build it is because it makes sure that he doesn't waste time during the fight, walking around doing nothing, and instead he has enough range to attack over your tanks to always be attacking. And that's what Cavalier Spat helps fix a little bit as well. If you like know what the Cavalier trait does, it essentially makes people like run until they get next to a unit. So if you are putting it on your damage dealer, he's going to run and always be attacking something because he's always going to be in range of something, even if he's a melee champion. This guy's going for a Lucian build. He's got the Radiant Rage Blade, but he only has Lucian 1, so we should be able to clean this up pretty nicely. You see Nunu charging around everywhere. He's got no downtime, but it's at this point where I'm like, all right, let me just reroll Yasuo. I got the perfect items for him, so let's just go from there. Tyr can turn into some sort of defensive or utility item. All right, so new shop. I'm going to take the Chain Vest because I want to get another defensive item for my tank. And I see the Nunu there. I think this is the point where I can start slow rolling a little bit because I'm not going to swap out my team until I get a Yasuo 2-star because, I mean, it just makes no sense to play 1-star Yasuo over the Varus. Since we have a lot of health, we're at 92, I'm not that afraid of not hitting. All right, we're facing the other Varus guy. He's got a Rage Blade. For items on Varus, Runons and Rage Blade are probably my favorite combo, and then third item, just pretty much any damage item you could get your hand on. If I had to choose, probably like Hand of Justice would be one of the better ones, with like any of the versions for any of the items be the Radiant version. Nunu gets some nice eats off there at 2-star, but I think... I forgot if I won this one. Okay, I got, like, Nunu's kind of playing Ring Around the Rosie, and we barely win this one to keep, like, our win streak. Actually, we don't have a win streak anymore. We lost a round before. Alright, I also built a Frozen Heart on the Gragas because I'm going to put that on my Diana. Frozen Heart Diana is probably one of the best combos in the game. We hit the 2-star Yasuo. I'm going to start itemizing him. Don't have the Cavalier Spat on him yet because it's on Nunu right now, and I don't have anything better to replace him with, so I'm not going to just go ahead and sell him right away. So, if Nunu can use a Cavalier Spat just fine, which he can right now, no real reason to sell him because 4 Brawler is still the strongest thing I could play right now, so even if it makes my Yasuo a little worse, the sacrifice is kind of worth it. And you guys can see here, Yasuo, he just does 1 auto attack and then he ults right away, and it just really builds up his damage by a ton. But we do end up losing this round. This guy's decently strong and just not enough to kind of kill him there. So we do like lose a little bit, but again, we're high health, so it doesn't really bother me that much. We are on the carousel. We want to go for a defensive item again. Probably Belt's going to be the best. We could probably go for a Trap Claw if we're able to get that, but I think someone else is going to take it because Belt's just really popular. Never mind, we're able to get the Belt, so that is perfect there. All right, we get a Lee Sin. We're going to roll down a bit. We're going to do like the slow roll as usual. Aphelios is great. I'm missing a Vladimir to go for, what's it called, 6 Nightbringer. I like the Nightbringer version the most, or like the 6 Nightbringer version the most, because it just gives the most damage to Yasuo, and it gives like a giant shield as well. I feel like having 2 Ironclad doesn't quite make up for it. We're still missing like the Yasuos, and I think we rather have like Diana until we put in or sell the Gragas. Not sell the Gragas, sell the Nunu to swap the items. But we get Demolish here. This guy has perfect item karma. He deserves to win this one because he is super leveled up. And he, yeah, has like best in slot items and he hit 2-star Galio and 2-star karma. Alright, next shop here. Not much to do here. So I'm just going to skip this turn. Oh, you guys might be wondering why I rolled down past 50 gold last turn. It was just because I wanted 1 copy of Diana to throw in the 6 Nightbringer, but didn't end up hitting that, so that's why we still have the same board as we did before. Whenever I'm really close to something, I tend to try to roll for it, and sometimes you hit, sometimes you don't. That's just the nature of the game, you know? Some games you get lucky, some games you don't. And we get destroyed in this one because he's got 3-star Hecarim with the Warmog's Radiant version, so we can't really do anything against that. So everyone pretty much hit their power spike. It's okay because we won the early game, so we were allowed to econ throughout stage 4 and pretty much just roll for our comp, even though our D key was not really working for this stage. So we go ahead and swap our team. Still looking for Diana, but I'm assuming I'm going to get her, which is why I kind of sold everything. We get some gold there, but that is pretty much going to be it. So... we just gotta pray now. So sometimes when you play reroll or any comp for that matter in TFT, at the end of the day, you just need to press D and hope that you hit the stuff that you want. It's getting a little late, so I need to roll past 50. So I find the Diana, Frozen Heart on her. Belt could probably go on her as well. There's another Sejuani. Sejuani 3 is another critical component of this build, but we see the Yasuo there. It's at this point where you can like decide whether you go all in or not. At 60 life, you could go either way. I wouldn't really be too disappointed if I went all in or if I kind of just chilled for a bit. I feel like both lines of play work pretty decently here. Don't ask about my Yasuo positioning. He needs to be in a different place because he doesn't have RFC. But luckily I have the Cavalier spat on him, so he kind of just jumps over my units instead of getting blocked. And again, that's like the great thing about the Cavalier spat. It makes sure that he's always attacking unless he gets perma-CC'd like how you saw here. But once we get him to 3-star, he should be doing a lot more damage. The one thing I don't like about the blue buff build is that the 3-star versus the 2-star Yasuo is a humongous difference because it's all spell reliant. So he's really not auto-attacking all that much. So you really need the 3-star Yasuo for him to actually start smacking people in the face. We get the Lee Sin, which is nice. Unfortunately, no items on him. I skipped one Vladimir, didn't miss that one. And now we're 1-off Yasuo, so I'm going to roll to 0 right now. Whenever I'm 1-off on a 3-star, I tend to roll to 0. Unless I have like 100 health, which I don't in this case. I'm kind of middle of the pack in HP. But we don't end up hitting, but you know, that's fine. Now we're against a Kale 2, holy cow. I actually remember this game now. I was pretty pissed when I saw it, as anyone would be, but surprisingly, like Kale 1 and Kale 2, there isn't like that much of a difference between their power levels. It's just kind of like for HP. Like obviously Kale 2 does more damage, and if you were to ask me would I rather have a Kale 1 or a Kale 2, I'd pick the Kale 2. But as you guys can see here, I'm not even at Yasuo 3, and I kind of destroyed him, even though you could argue that I do have a decent matchup against him. Alright, new round. We get 3 Nocturnes. We could eco back up to 10. We could roll to 0. Probably rolling to 0 is the best. Like, whenever I'm 1-off, I get really impatient, so I feel like rolling to 0 is the correct play. But I guess at the same time, you could say, like, oh, you're missing a bunch of Sejuanis as well, so sometimes econing might be better for, like, the superpower late game. But I lost, like, a lot of rounds recently. Like, we used to be at 92 health, like 4 rounds ago, but now we're at 45, so I didn't want to bleed out just because I have a Yasuo 2 instead of a Yasuo 3. But we're able, I think we pulled this one off. This Galio isn't 2-star yet, so I think Yasuo does enough damage, unless this Rel CC really kills us. Luckily, his Rakan wasn't like quite healing everything that much, so we're able to clean him up there and knock him out of the game, which is perfect for us. Alright, so now onto the Carousel. Trap Claw on Viego, that's a godsend. Whenever you guys are in the late game, you know how before I'd always say, like, go for Shrouded Stillness or go for Zephyr? Well, going for Trap Claw, that's another item to add to the list for your late game carousels, because it's absolutely nuts. Stone Plate is great because we're missing 1 tank item, so that's perfect there. Pretty much on that carousel, I was looking primarily for a Sejuani item, and if I couldn't get that, maybe an Aphelios item or a Diana item would have worked just as well. But we are chilling now. Like, still missing the Sejuani, so we could roll once and don't hit it. So, you know, whatever. Just go back up to 10 gold. I'm not as desperate to finish the Sejuani as I am for the Yasuo because we have a bunch of other tanks. Like, we have Lee Sin, we have the Nightbringer shields. It's really just damage that we were missing before, and now that we have it, like, look at this guy go. He just auto-ults, auto-ults, auto-ults. Unfortunately, his Teemo targeted our Yasuo to slow his attack speed right at the beginning of the game. So that did lower his, like, effectiveness a little bit, but we're able to clean him up still just because, like, Nightbringer shield too strong. All right, so we're at 17 gold now. What I like to do in the late game is just roll down to 10 gold. It's like the best break point, I'd say, for like rolling down a lot of your gold, but also not like completely ruining your chances of going to the next level. So what you see a lot of players do sometimes, they just roll to 10 every turn and never go below it until they're like less than 15 life. Generally, like each life is around like 15 health points. So that's a good threshold to stay around if you're playing around like whether you should all in or not. This guy has a Teemo. Again, my Yasuo is getting super targeted, so he has slower attack speed for the whole game. Are we able to pull it off? He's like so close to attacking Teemo, but so far he's able to finish him off there and clean up the rest of the guys before they get like the cruel trait. So that is lucky for me there. We're able to knock him out. So we don't have to worry about any of those Teemos anymore, I don't think. All right, now we get a Frozen Heart. Unfortunately, Frozen Heart doesn't stack anymore, but I could always just drop this on my Lee Sin just to give him more mana and more tankiness. For this shop, I'm not going to level up yet. I'm probably going to wait till the next turn to do that. Reason is, I don't have anything to put in, so when you don't have anything to put in, probably don't need to level up. I guess one play that I arguably could have done was maybe put the other Frozen Heart on like another level 1 Diana and just have one on one side, one on the other. That would have worked as well, and now that I look back on it, it might have been the better play than putting my Frozen Heart on the Lee Sin, because who cares if I lower the attack speed on the front line if no one's playing a melee carry? I think I'm the only melee carry player in this lobby. We're able to kill this Kayle. Again, we have a pretty good matchup against him, so we're able to kind of knock him out there. The reason why we have a decent matchup against him is because Kayle typically runs knights. This guy's running 4 knights. And when you're playing Yasuo, you do a lot of true damage, and true damage ignores all damage reduction. So you just kind of negate one of his traits. So that's why it's like a decent matchup for us. Again, Teemo hitting my Yasuo with the shroom. It's really annoying at the start of the fight. He hits him again. Teemo targeting is apparently random, but whenever I'm playing Yasuo, he always he always hits him. But luckily, we're able to win the round anyways. At this point, it should be an easy second, and like as long as the other people don't hit something crazy in the next couple rounds, it should be an easy first. I forgot to mention, I leveled up last round, so I'm just going to roll down now to get my Diana 2-star. I added in a Pyke just to give more CC. It's not even because he's an assassin. Pyke's just good because like he oftentimes stuns like half the enemy team. So generally he's like a okay unit to put in. Obviously would a random legendary probably be better, of course, but like that's a legendary unit and Pyke is, you know, just a 2 cost, but like AoE CC on a 2 cost unit, you can't really ask for much more. All right, this guy's got the trap claw thing, so it's gonna be pretty hard to stun half his team, but look at that Pyke go. Like he knocked off some trap claws, I guess, or he stunned his front line a little bit. Oftentimes he might get a better stun, and if he's 2-star, he would have finished off his cast. But again, great matchup against this guy, so no real worries there. Did we beat the other guy? No, the other guy actually beat us, so a little scary there. He's playing the Karma build, so sometimes when you're playing Karma, all that matters is who Karma targets. So like sometimes, obviously we want the Dragon Claw here because he's playing Karma. You could also go for the glove that's on the brand to finish a Trap Claw to put on our Diana and just put that next to our Yasuo. We could put Yasuo anywhere because he has a Cavalier spat, so he doesn't have to walk up to kind of like do anything. So we get a Viego, probably put that in over Pyke. Maybe he steals something good. I don't really care about the Skirmisher buff if you guys are wondering, because our Skirmishers are Lee Sin and Aurelia, and the attacks damage doesn't really help them at all. But maybe I should have gotten the glove to build a Trap Claw on my Diana, because that might have actually been better. It negates one of the Karma shoot things, like the Karma abilities. So maybe that was a better choice. I'm gonna probably Dragon Claw. I put it on Lee Sin, but is it Diana? Oh, I know why. I waited till the fight started. I saw that my Diana wasn't next to his Karma, so after that I put it on my Lee Sin. But again, I still don't know if that is correct. Maybe it's just better to put it on Diana no matter what, because her cast is so much more important than Lee Sin's. Because Lee Sin, like, who honestly cares about what he does? He's just a tank. I mean, Dragon Claw is a tank item, but if Diana's going to be potentially CCing his entire backline, I feel like that's more worth it on her. I'm kind of just saving up my gold. I'm not really sure why. Maybe like, yeah, I can't get to level 9 really. All it is in the end game is just dodging that Zephyr, which is what I did. You always want to be scouting at the end of the game, just to make sure you don't get hit by something random and just get your game completely griefed. Let's see what Karma targets. His Teemo, again, loves targeting my Yasuo, and I actually lose this round because of that. Or do I? If Aphelios gets a cast off, no, he does not. So we lose that round. Yeah, probably can't go level 9 here because it costs 70 gold to do so. I only got 30. But you know what? We have the health advantage, so one of these fights, Karma's going to get bad targeting, and that should be good enough for us. Alright, so I'm going to reforge this Locket because Locket is useless. Rage Blade, great on Aphelios. That should help a little bit. We could probably level up next level. And because we got a bunch of gold, I forgot we had the stimulus check come in. So yeah, if we lose this round, we could just level up on the next thing. Against Karma and Teemo, you definitely want to spread out because, again, Teemo target is random. And the more spread out you are, the less chance you have of being hit by AoEs. And he misses his Zephyr. Again, I'm always swapping. He got Diana, which honestly is really good too, because Diana was jumping right at his Karma and his Teemo, so she actually would have done a lot of work, but we get kicked out there. Yasuo's trying his best, but he gets eaten up by Gwen, which is a little unfortunate. And this guy, oh yeah. He was at 1 health, right? But he got a Teemo 2, even though he had a Teemo 1 the last time we played him. But he got 2 Nikos off of the off of the thing, which is completely nuts to me. But yeah, remember when I said it's an easy first place if nothing completely stupid happens? One of those things is your opponent getting 2 Nikos off of a neutral round when he's playing Teemo and he only has 1 life. So like I just checked the replay. He had no Nikos on his bench before, so he literally just got them from the neutral round, which is completely insane if you ask me. But right now, I'm just trying to get good positioning against his guys. My Diana's in a fine spot. She's going to jump to the enemy team. I just need to dodge the Zephyr on my Yasuo. Unfortunately, Diana got Zephyr'd again, but you know, like, his team also hit my Yasuo like on the first thing. Again, every single fight it happens. I don't know. But somehow, like, I'm guessing karma targeting was bad. So we're able to, oh, sorry, Viego stole Teemo. So that's how we won there. But like, you know, when you're low health or high health, you can afford to like get a lucky fight because he had to beat me like 4 times. I only had to beat him once. Like you're eventually going to win if you have the health advantage because no team beats someone like 100% of the time. There's always like a small chance that you could squeeze out a win. Even if they get incredibly lucky with like Teemo targeting, hitting Teemo 2 and all that stuff. Like I did get the 1-star Viego steal on the Teemo this game, which helped a lot. But yeah, that's Yasuo reroll. Let's go on to the last game. Now we're into the last game. As you guys can see here, I'm preparing to do the Varus reroll or the Vayne reroll, but I also bought the Gragas in case I want to do that as well. We have a double bow and a glove start, which means that we could kind of go in a lot of different directions. This Misfortune, while great in other games, doesn't really fit with these items. With Misfortune, you definitely want something like a Spirit Shojin and some ability power. However, with the bows, you could consider something like Vayne. You could also consider Kha'Zix, or even something like the Varus, which is what we've been seeing in the past. Like even a Yasuo, like all of them use bows, which is why I always start bow on the carousel if I can. One thing to note, we did get a Nunu, which we do want to play. So if you were playing normal, you weren't really playing for a reroll comp, you would try to level up and put in the Nunu to get 2 brawlers in because he's also just a great early game unit. In this next shop, we are presented with either a tier or a glove. I'm going to go ahead and go for the tier because that gives us Hand of Justice. A glove, second glove doesn't really do much. If we wanted to go for an attack damage comp, you could go for something like a Last Whisper and maybe an IE, but it's better just to slam items here. And here I feel comfortable just going for the Kha'Zix because I scouted around, if you guys noticed the screen before, and we noticed that no one else is going Kha'Zix. I'm going to go ahead, build the RFC with the Hand of Justice. Ideally, you would want the Infinity Edge and the Hand of Justice, which is more important than the RFC, but you know, you can't always get what you want. But these items, I'd say, are pretty good enough to go for this comp, and we have a Gragas 2 already, which gives me even more incentive to go for this. So you guys may notice, like, again, whenever you go for a reroll comp, you're not forcing it from the get-go. You're kind of seeing what goes on in the first couple rounds in the game before you actually commit to it. So we get a nice win there. We're actually 2-game win streak, which is kind of awkward. Normally when you want to reroll, you want to be on a full lose streak because that gives you the most amount of guaranteed income. Because we're going to be low level in this game, which means that we can't reliably win all the rounds. This round, I make one mistake. I put in the Gragas over the Nunu. I should play 2 Nunus here instead of the level 1 Gragas just because Nunu's a better unit. But small mistake there. Don't make that in your game. You just kind of have to know which units are better. Generally, the more expensive the unit is, on average, it's better because a 1-star Gragas versus a 1-star Nunu. Obviously, the 1-star Nunu is going to be better, even with the Dawnbringer buff that the Gragas gets. But let's see this game here. Are we able to squeeze it out? I think we are because this Gragas is too tanky for this Kalista. And we're able to pick up a 3-game win streak, which again, a little bit awkward because we want to be lose streaking, but hey, I'm not going to complain too much about it because we're getting it all in a row. You pretty much just want to avoid win, lose, win, lose, win, lose. So on this carousel, I would have loved that sword, but we're not able to get that there, so we should go for a tank item. I'm going to go ahead and grab the belt because belt is the most flexible tank item. It also builds a bunch of good utility items too. I feel like belt is one of the best items in the game right now. You can build Warmogs, Sunfire, and even stuff like Trapclaw or Zeke's Herald. So I recognized my mistake in the last round. I put the 2 Nunus in instead of the extra Gragas. Another thing that's awkward is that I'm win streaking with a 1-star Kha'Zix. If I had a 2-star Kha'Zix, I'd feel more comfortable because then I could more reliably win these next 2 rounds. But you know, I doubt that is going to happen unless I get a 2-star Kha'Zix magically. So even if you don't have the 2-star version of the unit that you want, you could still go for a reroll. It's just not as reliable. Of course, I'd rather have a 2-star Kha'Zix at this stage instead. New shop, we do get an extra guy there, which is nice, but not much else to do here. Notice again, we aren't leveling because we're going for a 1-cost reroll, and that is both to get higher chances for the unit that we want and to get more econ. So we're facing a guy who is going skirmisher with sentinels, it looks like. And yeah, my Kha'Zix gets focused this fight, unfortunately. Maybe if he didn't, I could have pulled out a win this round, but I do think we lose this one if I remember correctly. So again, this is why it's weird whenever you do a reroll and you start winning, because you can't reliably keep the win streak. Like, I would have to roll for a 2-star Kha'Zix, and maybe that could give me like the win there. But overall, it's a little sketchy if you ask me. So that's why lose streaking is definitely the best, but you can't always control how strong or weak your opponents are. So in this game, it just happened like that. So we get a 2-star Kha'Zix from the shop, and we also got a pike for assassin, which is nice. We also get a spatula, which we could use to maybe build a Dawnbringer spat early. So when you play the Kha'Zix build, it's normally like a level 8 cap. So if you have a spatula, you could kind of cap out at level 7 instead. This ends up saving you a ton of gold because you don't need to spend like the 56 gold it is to level up to level 8. So you may notice here we are at level 4 still, so some people like to roll at this point in the game, especially if you're going for Hellions or for the Chugbug build, which is what we're doing right now. However, since I don't have that many Kha'Zixes and I only have 5 Gragas's, I don't feel like it's worth it rolling down at level 4 and kind of just griefing my entire game if I miss. I typically only roll at level 4 on 3-1 if I have like 6 or 7 copies of a certain champion. Generally, when I have 7, I always do it. If I have 6, it's kind of borderline decision. All right, so now it's time to start rolling because we're above 50 gold. So I skipped a Soraka there, that's my bad. In these other rolls, nothing much too interesting here. I do see a Riven, so I could play her and play for Dawnbringer with the Dawnbringer spatula. I see another Riven there, but she's a little expensive to pick up, so I think that's all we're going to do for now. I'm going to put the Dawnbringer spat on the Nunu. Reason why I put it on the Nunu over the Pike, and I was debating which one to go for, is because Nunu is going to be sold eventually, so I don't need him later, so I could always replace the spatula onto a desired unit afterwards, whereas I'm pretty much always going to be playing Pike because he is one of the best assassins in the game because he stuns half the enemy team. All right, new shop, I pick up the Soraka this time. She is technically better than Riven in my opinion because I don't need that many frontliners. I get another Gragas there, which is nice. Keep rolling. I see another Soraka and a Nidalee, so I'll just hold on to these for now. I could even go 6 Dawnbringer once I hit everything 3-star because I could just level up and drop them in. However, that's looking like a pretty far away thing from now, so if you wanted to, you could sell the Rivens and the Nidalees and just pick them up later just to have more gold to roll down with. However, since I am so far away from Kha'Zix 3 and Gragas 3, the extra like 9 gold that I'd get from selling them doesn't really affect that much because I wouldn't be able to improve my board. We end up winning this round barely, just because Kha'Zix got some nice isolation damage to a couple of the units. So again, like we're high health when we're doing this. It's just really funny. So on this carousel, we want to start building the IE for Kha'Zix because that's just going to be the best item for him. Like IE plus Hand of Justice, but we're unable to get the sword there. So now I have to decide rod or belt. It's probably going to be the belt because I want more tank items for my Gragas now. There's a Riven 2-star. For this one, I'm not sure if it's correct to complete it or not because again, you want more gold to roll down with. But he is for sure better than Soraka, but if I hit a Soraka 2, then the Riven's kind of useless because I'd rather just play the Soraka instead. And then if I wanted to sell the Riven at that point, I'd lose 1 gold there. So we rolled down a bit more, and we do hit a Pike, so I guess that's nice. No Kha'Zixes, so the game is looking a little sketchy. So if you guys are in one of these situations in your games where you're re-rolling, you rolled like, maybe we rolled like 40 gold already, and you're just not seeing the unit that you want. You know, sometimes it happens, eventually you will get it, and this is just kind of one of those games. I know a lot of people, you see your opponents, they have like Kha'Zix 3-star at like 3-2, and then you're at like 3-5 where you still have Kha'Zix 1, or sorry, Kha'Zix 2 in your game. Sometimes the game just works like that. You can't always hit in every single game, so you need to do your best to alleviate the damage whenever that happens. So new shop. Unfortunately, like not many Kha'Zix items. Like Guardian Angel is good, but only if he has the IE. So for example, if I had Hand of Justice and IE, I'd go for this Radiant Guardian Angel in like a heartbeat. Actually no, I'd get the Radiant RFC, but let's assume the Radiant RFC did not exist. I would go for the Guardian Angel. Apart from that, it's looking like a tank item. So It's either Stoneplate or Bramble Vest. Which one's better? In this comp, you kind of have a couple of tanks, so Stoneplate is generally better if you only have one tank, but you know, in this early part of the game, it's not bad, but Bramble Vest is also really good. Like, you can't really go wrong with either choice. Yeah, maybe I should have gotten the Bramble Vest because I have a stone plate on my bench, or half a stone plate on my bench from the Negatron, so it could be arguable to go for the Bramble Vest instead. Again, not really too sure which item is better. If you guys know for sure, or like have a strong opinion on it, do let me know down in the comments below. But whenever I get like any tank item, which is either Warmogs, Bramble Vest, or stone plate, I'm generally fine with any of them. Like, there's probably like a very minor difference in each. I probably should have scouted first to see how much I needed the anti-critical strike damage. So I see a couple more dudes here as I rolled down. We have a lot more gold because I took too long on my turn last game. And yeah, we're pressing D. It's like kind of working. It's finding us all the 3-cost units, but we we just don't find any Kazakhs. We've actually found more pikes than we have Kazakhs, which is kind of strange. So we probably wasted over like 60 or 70 gold right now at this point to get 1 Kazakhs, which is kind of nuts if you ask me. But we're going to keep rolling down. I'm going to put the Dawnbringer on the pike. And okay, there's finally a Kazakhs there. I'll sell the Udyr by that. Don't really care too much about the Nidalee, but we'll pick up the pike. And finally, we get another Kazakhs. I skipped a pike by accident. That is my bad. And rolling down to 50. Oh, we get one more. So you see, guys, sometimes you waste 70 gold, but your next 10 gold, you kind of find it. So here I'm trying to do a small all-in to find all the guys because I'm really close to them. If I had more time, I'd probably roll to 0 here because there's a very high chance I'd complete them. Again, normally when I'm around 7 copies of a unit, I tend to go all in. But you could argue that we didn't even need to go all in here because we have a 94 health lead, which means we could kind of sack a couple rounds. We're not that desperate to win every game. But we were on a win streak, so I did kind of want to keep that if we were able to get the 3-star. So I think if I had unlimited time, maybe I'd roll down to 10, for example. So new shop, I'm going to go ahead and grab the sword. That's going to be half the IE. If not, we could also build a Giant Slayer, worst case scenario. So whenever you are last pick, which is what we're looking like, you always want to be careful about being able to complete your last item. And there we get the Kazakhs 3 at stage 4-2. Not the fastest, but not the latest. It's kind of funny. We started the game with like 6 Gragas's, but we finished Kazakhs first. So game is weird sometimes like that. But since I am so far ahead, I feel like I'm going to just chill on the item and just try to get perfect items. So with the sword, you could build a Giant Slayer, which is a very good item. You could slam it now. You could also greed for the Infinity Edge. Which one's better? Probably not too much of a difference. Giant Slayer is generally better in the late game if people have a lot of high health, such as this guy with the Warmogs and with a couple of 3-stars. But in general, I do prefer the IE. But I feel like maybe I built the Giant Slayer in this game specifically just because it's like a good enough item. And hopefully I can complete some of the other items on my bench instead on the carousel. Just because I have these item components and you kind of just need to build something. So if I go for a crit on that carousel, I'd have the IE, but then I'd have a bow, a belt, and a Negatron, and that doesn't really build anything to benefit my team, which is why I slammed the Giant Slayer there. So now when we get to carousel, I could go ahead and finish like a Warmogs, a Sunfire Cape, or a Dragon Claw, or another Gargoyle Stoneplate. So Kazakhs jumps to the back, we get an easy kill on the Callista. Gragas is pretty much tanking everything with the stone plate because he gets more resistances that way, and we're able to pick up a clean win here. Alright, so now we're on the carousel. Again, guys, like you'll see here, we didn't get that great of choices in our items, so I'm just going to go for the Negatron. We were last pick every game, we missed some of the items that we really needed, but we do end up getting pretty decent items overall. Like if I had to choose, or if someone told me these would be your ending items if you went for Kazakhs Reroll, I would not be mad about it at all. I went ahead and built the Dragon Claw on my Gragas, just because like that's just the item you build. I may or may not get an item from this Wraith camp. It's like sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. It depends on like how lucky you get in that game, but our Kazakhs get some nice isolation damage to a lot of the units here, and he gets some good heals in order to finish off the Lucian. And right now, all we need to worry about, since we found all our 1-stars, it's just leveling up. So we're just gonna passively level up. Unless you have something really good to put in right away, I would not level to 7 right away. But for example, if you did not have Dawnbringer Spatula and you had the 6 Dawnbringer on your bench, I would level up and put them in if you had like Karma or Garen. However, in this case, we already do have the Dawnbringer Spatula, so we don't need to level up to level 7 that desperately. We are facing a blue buff Yasuo, very strong build as you guys saw before, but I guess we were able to pick him off in this instance. Normally, like maybe when he gets to 3-star Yasuo, it's going to be much deadlier, but for now we're able to beat him. So we get a rod from that camp, so I guess we're forced to build a Morello on someone. I don't really know who's supposed to hold it. I should probably just build it on Riven so that I could swap it over to Karma later, because you generally replace Riven for Karma in this composition. If you put it on your Soraka, I wouldn't be that disappointed either, but I feel like Karma gets her casts off a little bit quicker, which applies to Morello faster, and she applies it more often, so I feel like she'd be a better target to use it on, or unit to use it on, than the Soraka. Here we see the Dragonclaw putting in a ton of work because it kind of killed the, what do you call it, the Vel'Koz pretty handedly. But are we able to finish off this guy? Once we get to overtime, we're going to get less healing and probably take more damage. But it depends on the Dragonclaw damage. We're able to finish that guy off there. This Volibear is doing crazy work too with his Bramble Vest, and this Ivern keeps spawning his dude. Forgot who actually won this. Holy cow, Gragas did it right before the overtime timer ended, which is pretty funny if you ask me. So we get a new Soraka there. Maybe we could get Soraka 3-star. I doubt it though. I just put all my extra gold into the levels because again, we want to hit level 8 or level 9 because we're at 80 health. So whenever you're in these situations where you kind of have everything you need, but you want like a higher chance to get first place, you generally want to level up as much as you can. And especially in this game, because Karma and Garen, they're great units, right? Don't get me wrong, they're better than Riven and Nidalee. But we don't need them because it's not like Riven 2-star and Nidalee 2-star are completely useless. New level, so I'm just going to keep leveling up while staying at above 50 gold. We are against an Aphelios player now, and he has the Akshan already, which is great for him. And he's also got a Galio with the Frozen Heart. That's actually an interesting Radiant item to build. I normally don't put that on Galio. What I like on Frozen Heart is putting it on Viego. Our Kha'Zix is able to clean up the back. Let's see if his Akshan is able to kill my Kha'Zix. Akshan is really broken in this build because he just sneaks to the back and often picks off a lot of your carries. But luckily in this game, we're able to finish him off. But I'm surprised he's able to do that much work at 1-star with only 1 item, which typically should not happen in my opinion. So on this carousel, obviously we want the Trap Claw, but we're probably not going to get that. If not, we could go for the Assassin Spatula or the Shroud of Stillness. So we end up getting the Assassin Spat, which is great. We could aim for something like a 4 or 6 Assassin in that case. We're going to be rolling down. We're going to be leveling up and rolling down. Hopefully just to hit some sort of unit to put in, because right now we have nothing. We see the Nocturne, so we get that, and now we could play 6 Assassin. I'm going to Assassin probably my Riven because she can stun the backline units. So with this Assassin Spatula, we definitely want a Diana over the Nocturne or a Viego, but we're not able to get that quite yet. We could even level up, take out the Nunu, and put in 6 Assassin, which would be even stronger than what we have now. I forgot to build the Morello this whole time, that's my bad, but we finally built it now. I'm not sure what made me forget to buy it. Maybe I was like AFK when I was playing the game, or like semi-AFK. So we're facing a Lucian with pretty good items. He gets a decent ult, but he doesn't hit my Kha'Zix. My Gragas is still alive, so I think we do end up winning this. And yeah, we get a great crit there, and we're able to finish this guy off. Actually, no, he's got like 1 life left. So I hit the next level. Not too much to do here. I do want the Pike 3-star, so I do want to roll a little bit, but I guess we're getting punished for skipping that Pike earlier. This guy almost has Lucian 3-star. That is a little scary. So I'm going to hold on to this Lucian on my bench. So this guy's in 2nd place whenever, and I also pinged him. I'm that guy. But people do need to be holding the Lucians if they want to win the game, right? So it's good to ping people because sometimes other people hold it for you, which is great. But, you know, it doesn't always happen like that. But yeah, whenever you're like super far ahead, the only thing you need to look out for is what is like the 1% chance that I lose, and you gotta try to figure that out. In this game, it's if this guy gets Lucian 3-star, it's gonna be much harder to win than if he only has 2-star, because like I generally should be able to beat him if he doesn't get it. He also has 0 gold now, which is great, so he probably can't get it if I hold 1 or 2 Lucians on my bench. So my Gragas gets another close game here. I think he's able to finish this one off. Yeah, I do remember winning this one. But it just takes quite a bit of time because they're just all super tanky. But good win there. There's some teams, they just can't kill like a tank with these types of items. And it's great because he only has 2 tank items right now. So if I get something great from like another carousel, he should theoretically be unkillable. So I hit a Karma here, so I'm going to sell my Riven. Put the Morello on Karma. Who gets Assassin Spat? I'll probably just put it on my... maybe Nunu for now. I'm not really sure. I don't think it matters who gets this Assassin Spatula. So the reason why I don't want to go 8 Dawnbringer is just because the 6 Assassin buff is probably a little better than that. You just get a bigger shield with, or not shield, a bigger health regen with 8 Dawnbringer, but sometimes you don't need that much shield because I think it heals like 110% at 8 Dawnbringer. Renewer Emblem's pretty decent. I think I could put that on my Gragas. That just makes him regen more health, which is never really like a bad thing. For the Frozen Heart, I'm going to put that on Nocturne for now because I want him on my other assassins later, such as Diana. And then Redemption, I could probably just put on anyone, maybe on the Nunu. So whenever you're playing assassins, you generally want to scout, especially if you have a Frozen Heart. I'm able to hit this guy's Aphelios with my Frozen Heart here. But wow, this guy hit Lucian 3 anyways, despite me holding them and him having 0 gold. So that is lucky for him. I wonder if he got a Nico from the dragon, because sometimes they just drop that for random people. I don't really think it's that fair, but you know, it does make for some fun moments to look at. But now I have to deal with this Lucian 3, which is gonna be a little bit troublesome. So we do have a health advantage. That is the only thing we have. So I'm gonna keep this Nocturne on my bench because I want to go level 9 to get 6 Assassin. Probably don't need the Ivern or the Riven. So now we have to ask, when do we want to go level 9? We could do it like this level, but then we'd have to roll and pray to hit a Diana. We really just need a Diana this game. Like, we're just waiting for that. But yeah, I'm watching this other fight. Our Ghost is facing the Lucian player, and the fight's not even close because he just easily shreds through my entire team, which is, again, really unfortunate. So I have to find a way to draw the Lucian out and kill him, like, magically, and do it, like, twice, because he's got 20 health. Generally, when you have 20 health, you have 2 lives, unless you lose by, like, a super big amount, which is kind of rare. So I decide to level up the next turn because I'll have like 10 gold to roll if I leveled up now. Luckily, the other guy is facing the Lucian 3 player, so we're able to pretty much secure a second from that. But my Kha'Zix gets a great isolation damage on the Lucian here, so we are able to pick him off. But again, when he's at 20 life, ah man, that Diana goes off. Like, he's able to live with 2 life, which is really unfortunate because it's really hard to beat this guy. He's gonna beat me more than I beat him, most likely. So on this carousel, I wish I did not put the Renewer Spat on my Gragas because I'd rather put another tank item on him. I think I want the Quicksilver Sash, but I didn't realize it quick enough at the time. I got super lucky here, I'm not gonna lie, guys, and I got like gifted the Quicksilver because that is what I want on Viego. I just couldn't think of it in time during the actual game. So we roll down a bit, we do get the Garen. No Diana yet though, because Diana is huge. Imagine a Frozen Heart on Diana instead of the Nunu. It's just gonna be like a lot better, you know? We get the Garen there. I'm gonna go ahead and sell the Nidalee. Nidalee doesn't do anything. And we're just literally waiting for, what's her name? I'll put the Quicksilver on Viego. I didn't have time to position this game, but I feel like I don't want to be on the same side as the Lucian because Senna gets a nice CC off on me otherwise. So if in this game, for example, if Kha'Zix was all the way on the left, it'd rip through his entire team first before getting to the Lucian. Does Lucian do more damage than my Kha'Zix and probably wins anyways? Probably, but you know, whenever you're facing like insurmountable odds, you got to do something crazy to try to win. So we get our Stimmy. Let's see what we get. We get a sword and a rod. I wish I got that earlier. I probably would have had IE if that's the case, but we're in late game, so Giant Slayer is probably better, especially against that type of Lucian. So we see a Viego here. I'll just buy him. But we're really just wanting Diana. I don't know why she's so hard to find. I'm going to play 2 Viegos, but we probably want to go... Like, I make a mistake here. I want to go opposite side of Lucian, so okay, never mind, I don't. I was just waiting for him to move. So I'm not saying like you can guarantee the win by going opposite side, but sometimes you want to go same side, sometimes you want to go opposite. If I had Diana, I'd want to go same side with both of them because then Diana ults and displaces the Lucian and puts him into the center. But this game, like, I don't have Diana yet, so I just can't do that play. And we're almost able to beat him here. Nice. We get the Lucian kill there, but I think my team is... The Gragas is trying, but like it's just not enough when he's like 5v1, because even with the Dragon Claw, it's just not enough damage, and we're able to go down to our last life as well. So we finally see a Diana. We also get the Garen 2-star, which is obviously great. I'm going to sell the Nunu because I don't need him anymore. And we're going to play, what do you call it, 6 Assassin. That should be a big damage buff for us. And Frozen Heart on Diana, completely broken. Assassin Spatula on my Garen, maybe he gets a crit off, and probably Redemption on either Garen or Diana. Just whoever's near my Kha'Zix, because I just want to keep my Redemption holder near my other Assassins to kind of heal them. So we get some gold here. We also get a Spear of Shojin. I'm going to do a quick roll down for Viego 2, and we are able to get him because we're level 9. And that's going to be our team. Do I want Diana 2-star as well? Sure. But not able to get that. Shojin on Karma. I probably wanted it on Garen, looking back at it, because Garen's just a better unit. I should also be buying Teemos and selling them because I only have 1 life anyway, so a couple mistakes on my part there. I want to be opposite side. I want to also make sure my Diana hits the Lucian. But make a mistake there. I'm not able to swap my team quick enough because look, we just jump at his tanks, and it's a little awkward in that sense. But look at that, Diana, holy cow. Oh wait, didn't I just say before, if you have a Diana, you want to be on same side? I forgot I said that. So do that, and Diana ults, Lucian goes in the middle, and then you kill everything. So it's like, it's just a Diana difference. But that's going to be it for my reroll video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that, because I love reroll. I've been climbing a lot with it, and I feel like they're easy to play because you kind of decide in the beginning what you're going to go. Like maybe around stage like 2-2, you'll know for sure. And maybe around like stage 2-2, you'll know for sure. And you get some great games from them because you get to, once you hit the 3-star, you win streak a lot, and you could snowball that into a win if you're a high health, and if you're a low health, you could often squeeze out like a top 4, which often is good enough just to move on to the next game. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed that, and hope you guys learned something new about rerolling. Hey guys, thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to share and subscribe, and of course smash that like button. Each like is an LP I gain before the next video.